Ron Busby joins us. Ron's the president and CEO of the U.S. Black Chambers, which is an organization that advocates on behalf of black business owners. In fact, he introduced the vice president at an economic opportunity event in Detroit. That was back in May, I believe. So she's back there today, right, Ron? And we appreciate you coming on. With this story, you know, whether it was President Obama's comments last week and since then, more and more stories come out. Seems to be a bigger issue in this campaign. Does the vice president still have work to do, not only with black voters, but in particular with black men? What do you say? Oh, looks like there we go. We had a little bit of an issue with your shot. I think it was freezing up a little bit, so there might be. I'm going to let you give a second for, you know, the way these things work. I love technology to reset. I think you're okay now. Yes. Okay. So take it from the top there on black voters, particularly black men for Harris.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. Sure. You know, black men aren't a monolithic people either. But the one thing that we have heard is that the vice president has heard us. So often we've had elected officials as well as campaigners talk to us about issues that don't make themselves relevant in our community. And so what we have seen today, this morning, is that the vice president has heard the concerns of many black men across the country. I believe she has laid out an agenda that addresses many of those issues to be able to create wealth, give us sustainability in our communities, and allow black men to once again lead in their communities as well as their families, as well as opportunities going further to make sure that we have the good health that we need. We have good education. We have good opportunities to create the wealth that our communities and families need so desperately.
Yeah, some of these interviews that she's done have been targeted towards the black community. I think the one with Charlemagne the God out in Detroit today, that's got to be a big part of that. Now, you mentioned her plans. She's rolled out, you know, the small business loans and the like. We talked about that on yesterday's show. I want to show you an article from the New York Times that talks not only about the black community and not only about men, but the Hispanic community as well, with the headline asking the question, why is Trump gaining with black and Hispanic voters? And they talk about how these voters seem to sympathize with his America First foreign policy, saying that America ought to pay less attention to problems overseas and concentrate more on problems at home. And the thesis is that's helping Trump. What do you say?
Well, I agree with some of the voters that are concerned about what's happening across the globe, as well as concerns about making sure that their voices and concerns are being addressed. But I think you cannot have a single agenda. There's multiple things going on around the world. And I think the president of the United States needs to make sure that they're involved in all issues concerning not just the citizens of the United States, but the citizens of the globe. And the one thing that I understand with this administration, through the Biden-Harris administration, is that they're making sure that all people, both minority and majority, both black and white, both foreign and domestic, are having concerns that are being addressed and making sure that we have the opportunity to live safely around the country, around the globe. And I, as well, appreciate what she's doing for both black communities as well as communities around the country.
Now, on that issue domestically, I've put up some numbers on the racial wealth gap and just see what your perspective on those numbers are. And basically, back earlier this year was a report from the New York Fed showing that since the pandemic, wage gains for black Americans have actually outpaced those of white Americans. But, and this shows this on the chart you're looking at, wealth inequality deepened significantly. In other words, got worse. And I wonder if that plays into what we're talking about as well. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, during COVID, black Americans, in reference to our businesses that we own, we lost 41% of all black-owned businesses between the months of February and April of 2020. That represented about 442,000 black businesses were closed. And many of those businesses, when interviewed, said that the reason why they went out of business because of lack of information, lack of good banking relationships, right, and the lack of good resources that were being able to provide it to them in the local communities. And so what this administration is doing, as well as what the vice president is laying out in her new agenda, is to address those. She's making sure that now new startup businesses have both tax initiatives as well as loans, forgivable loans for black businesses to start up. Yeah. We see that the future is really around an economic agenda that includes entrepreneurship versus those that are really dealing with wages and the opportunity to be able to increase your wages. And so this administration is saying, let's lean in on the entrepreneurial opportunities, as well as making sure that those entrepreneurs have the resources, the education, as well as the financing that they need to be able to have.
Let me ask you one other question. That's the Harris Opportunity Agenda that you're talking about. That was, again, we talked a lot about this yesterday. What was your perspective and thought on what President Obama had to say? He seemed to be suggesting that men, and in particular black men, might have a problem in many cases, or in some cases, in his view, with just a woman being president.
Yeah, you know, I get an opportunity to talk to black men around the globe, and I've not heard this concern very often. I think sometimes the media has a tendency to take things out of context. When you talk to other black men about what their concerns are, it's really not about her gender as much as it is about her initiatives. And I think today's announcements really are addressing many of those concerns. I do believe this, that Trump has been talking a lot about making America great again. We here at the U.S. Black Chamber, as well as other business owners and just black people around the country, say, in order for there to be a great America, there must be a great black America. And I think this initiative is really addressing the needs as well as the responsibility of the federal government to be able to provide those resources to ensure that all Americans have the opportunity to succeed.
All right, more on this topic in our next hour of coverage. Again, the Vice President in Detroit today, Ron Busby, thank you very much.